YouTube as well. 2 months old already. Jeez. Time flies. Yeah, reach out. We'll chat. Like seriously. And I think it's awesome that you're like, I'm not feeling it. And being honest about that is very important. Anyway, let's circle back to what we're talking about. We want to talk about a couple charts and some major levels we have been hanging out in. We're going to go over Celsius, MU, Rocket Lab, and BABA. First up is Celsius on the daily chart here. So as we could see on Celsius, there's a couple major things we're really looking at here as far as kind of a second chance entry. We did take this trade off of the $40 break a few days ago. So now what? If you missed that initial $40 push here, all right, and then you missed the retest here, we're kind of sitting at the midpoint of this liquidity zone. It's not a gap fill, but it is a liquidity zone. In here, you can see that low volume area. You can see how it scoops back here. And right at the midpoint of that, we do have a little bit of a volume shelf into the 44.50 area. So really what we want to see and what we're waiting for on a Celsius second chance play, a second chance entry is, I want to see that break in that hold of $45. And at that point, I do believe we can really set ourselves up for a second chance swing shade up through 48.20. And then if we break and hold 50, once we break and hold $50, 55 and 61 should come relatively easy. The big part we're looking at, however, is this break in this hold of $45. It's really what we want to see on Celsius. Of course, this is one we're already in up pretty well on. And then in that, I would go out at least 8 weeks on the contracts or take a couple 4 weeks out and a couple like 3 to 4 months out. Because once we get into this range of breaking $50, we've got this second sweep that would really should pay relatively well. Overall, we really like the chart. We're in the liquidity highway right now. We are at the midpoint. And look at this literally zero volume coming up from 45 into $47. Do you see that? That's what we're really looking to play and then breaking back up from there. So we're looking at Celsius. Next, we have MU. All right, so on MU, what we can clearly see here, and now this is one I kind of just went over, but I wasn't recording, so I'm going to hit it again. We've got this gap fill right here. We could clearly see we have a gap fill that we're trying to break into. And normally I like to cheat my entry a little bit on gap fills, like when we see it testing. I love to cheat that. I like starting a position as we're breaking into it and then kind of doubling up, doubling down as we break the midpoint of our gap fill. Midpoint's a major area in gap fills. Our midpoint's approximately 125. We're at 122.40. It could be a nice short-term trade. However, I don't like that right here because we have just ripped off of a push from the 200 on the daily all the way up to 121. We have had a 25 to 30% push, all right, on MU over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So we're going to get a lot of profit taking at that area. We got a little bit of profit taking right here at the wick high here. That's triple top wick high. We did kind of chop on that, got a little bit of profit taking, but we're not getting the volume we need to see to push into this gap fill. So this is not an ideal chart for me. This is not an ideal entry. I don't necessarily like it. We really need to see a break and a hold of 123 with volume, or what I want to see is us cool off a little bit. We're extremely overbought and kind of chop in this area. Maybe set a little alarm reminder, this and that for 150. If we come down and we test this 113 to 115 and take a nice strong bounce, I like an entry there. And then a profit taking back up at 122 again and going a little further out. I don't like the entry here. Yes, we're coming into a gap fill. Yes, it's a really nice trade once we're in the gap fill, but we're really going to struggle with that gap fill because of what we did with MU over the last few weeks. So that's MU. Next is Rocket Lab. So Rocket Lab's interesting one here. Elon's blowing up rockets. So Rocket Lab really benefited over the weekend on that. We alerted this Wednesday. Sorry, it's Friday today. It wasn't the weekend. It was Juneteenth. So as you can see here, we're almost in price discovery mode. We're not quite there, but what we really like to see here on the Rocket Lab is the lowering volume. Look at this. This is This is sexy. This lowering volume all the way up. So we don't have any walls towards that all-time high. I mean, $30 is going to be tough, sure, but instead of like, oh, we need to see that break and that hold of all-time high, I think we can really test that all-time high relatively easily. At least 32 here. So what I'm looking at on this one, we're already above that 2880. If we get a daily close above 30, because we give it a little extra at 30, we're like, okay, it should hold here. We got through most of the chop. We really get into a low volume area there. So what I want to see is when we get, like, say, an hourly candle open and close above 30, that play up to 33, which, remember, that's 10%. That's going to pay you 50, 75% or so on any sort of some sort of swing trade, and then playing it up through 33. And then at that point, because it's such low volume liquidity, I think that we should get into price discovery relatively easily. And then from there, sky's really the limit. So I wanted to go over those three charts specifically because they're three charts that have been red hot or news-based catalysts or broke over a major level. So I just want to kind of update what we're looking at from there. Thank you guys so much. I will see you on the next one.